Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to the first episode of The Hairy Biker Discusses the Wow in Science. I'm your host, Derek Eamus. The first topic I'm going to talk about today in this first episode is perhaps a weird question that very few people would ever have thought about. The question is, what happened to day and night temperatures of the USA after the 9/11/2001 Twin Towers attack? Hopefully by the time we get to the end of this little chat, you'll have an understanding of what happened and why it happened. Here's an iconic photograph taken just after each tower has been hit by Boeing 767, immediately prior to the collapse of the two towers. The weird thing is that for 3 days after the attack on the Twin Towers, average night temperatures were cooled and average day temperatures were warmed. As I say, for 3 days after the Twin Towers attack. The question is, how did that occur? What explains it? And the answer all comes down to contrails. Contrails, of course, is short for condensation trails. This is what we see behind jets flying at 30,000 feet. And they occur because water vapour that's been released by the jet engine by burning the fuel, the water vapour condenses and freezes around small particles up in the atmosphere. Those particles might be soot, dust, bacteria. And they freeze in the extreme cold that we see at 30,000 feet. Now, satellites have been looking down on the surface of the Earth for, 50 years, I guess. And here's what a typical day looks like over the USA. The left-hand image shows a standard infrared image of continental USA. The right-hand image uses an enhanced infrared wavelengths sensor to reveal the contrails, and you can see a large number of contrails all across America. Contrails can last for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, even up to an hour in the right conditions. And there are so many jets flying over America, we see hundreds of contrails across continental USA. On September the 12th, we find only 3 contrails across all of America. And these 3 contrails are the jet that's flying the President of the USA from Nebraska to Washington, and a couple of escorting fighter jets. Where have all the contrails gone? Well, the President of the USA banned all commercial flights into, out of and across the USA for 3 days after the 9/11 attack. So there were no contrails above America for those 3 days. They were, of course, concerned about a repeat attack using the same tactic. To understand how this lack of contrails explains the change in surface temperatures, we need to know a little bit about global energy balances. Funnily enough, global energy balances are the basis of global climate models, and these will feature in my second and probably third episode of these talks. So what do global climate models do? Well, they simulate the movement of energy and mass, for example, movement of air, movement of clouds, movement of rainfall, and they estimate surface temperatures of land surfaces across the globe. And they do this by calculating the energy balance of the land and ocean surface. An energy balance is the calculation of the difference between incoming solar radiation, better known as sunlight, and outgoing radiation, which includes reflected solar radiation, plus all the long-wave radiation that is emitted by everything on the surface of the Earth. Let's have a look at a surface energy balance when contrails are present. What we see is the sun on the left, that nice yellow orb emitting sunlight, and some of that sunlight passes directly to the Earth's surface and warms it up. When contrails are present, and indeed clouds in general, they reflect some of that incoming solar radiation. And therefore that solar radiation is reflected back out to space. It doesn't reach the ground surface and it doesn't warm it. When contrails are absent during the day, we get more solar radiation reaching the Earth's surface, which therefore gets warmed more, so daytime temperatures increase in the absence of those contrails. What about at night? Well, at night, when contrails are present, and indeed clouds, some of the long-wave radiation that we generally perceive as heat, some of the long-wave radiation is absorbed by the contrails and indeed the clouds. So contrails act as blankets and they trap heat that otherwise would have been lost to space. So they act as blankets and therefore warm the land surface at night. In the absence of contrails at night, more of that infrared radiation, more of that heat is lost out to space, so the nighttime temperature is lower. And that's exactly what was found when a study was conducted. These scientists examined 4,000 weather stations all across the USA from 1971 to 2000 and generated average day and night temperatures for 3 periods, the 8th to the 11th, the 11th to the 14th, and the 14th to the 17th. What they found was very clearly that daytime maxima increased and daytime minima got colder for the 3-day period of the cessation of flights across America. In fact, the diurnal temperature range, that's the difference between the maximum and minimum, was increased by more than 1 degree centigrade. Why do we care about this? Well, first, it's been suggested for decades that contrails affects regional and continental scale weather patterns and climate. And this was the first field test of this hypothesis. Now, global circulation models don't model clouds and they don't model contrails well because these are too small in size and they are too short-lived. Global circulation models therefore do a poor job at taking these effects into account when making projections into the future about future climate. So these observations that were made and the modelling that's been done to apply to the data improve our understanding of surface energy balances and improve our ability to model these more accurately. So this little episode is an edited extract from chapter 1 of my latest book. You can get this through Amazon Books, Booktopia, Barnes & Noble, and even through Amazon Kindle. Hey, so thanks for watching, and hopefully you found it of some interest. Perhaps mention it to your friends if you did enjoy it. Thank you very much, and au revoir for now.